Aloha and welcome to Wisdom Dialogues with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Hawaiian Paradise Park on the beautiful Big Island of Hawaii. Hooray! Hooray. The title for this Wisdom Dialogue session already came to us. We'll see how it develops though, and maybe it'll come up later. I don't know, but it already came to us right at the beginning. So Anne and I were just talking about how there's all these I'm going to call it ageism. I don't think it's the right word according to how society looks at the word ageism. I'm going to call it ageism. Right. And it has to do with our repeating phrases that we've just learned through our lifetime. And you'll notice the more you hang out with people and you're listening, you'll see that there's certain phrases that we just say that basically make us age. Okay. They're actually like little death wishes that we say. All right. There's like little things that we say. They're kind of like, it's our own death wish. Like one of my friends told me, Hope, you're only 50. You don't understand how your body is going to be like when you're in your 70s. And I told my friend, you do not want that for me. And then she's like, you're right. I don't. And I go, so don't believe in that, because really you don't want that for yourself. You know, it's not like, hey, join me in this God being, that's why you don't hear me saying stuff like that, stuff about how like it's inevitable that we're going to age, it's not inevitable. So yesterday I attended a Satsang. Some of my friends, Billy and Casey, they were super excited about this dude. And so I go over there and I attend a Satsang. And one of the things that I recognized so clearly, it was so plain to me, the man who was sharing, the man who was giving the satsang was doing that ageism thing, like right in the satsang. Even, it was just like he just was talking about how, well, the first person that came up was like talking about, usually when you're at a satsang, so you're talking about something about waking up and stuff like that and whatever. But the woman came and she said, I just am so I'm so afraid, like, of aging, of being, they're naming certain things as being a burden to someone. That was like a major fear, being a burden to someone. Being in pain, afraid of pain. The funny thing is that pain is fear. Isn't that fun? And you can see, like, you're afraid of pain, you're fucking bringing it to you, because fear is the one that's projecting pain. Fear is already a pain. It's a pain right now, right? So you can tell it's like, that is really, so there's being afraid of pain. And so I look at, I'm really interested, because the person comes up and she's sitting next to the satsang guy, and she's talking about all these things, and I'm really interested to hear what he's going to say about it. And the thing is, he goes into his own story about, basically aging and not being able to do things and stuff like that. And he's basically, what I got is that he's hopeful that he's going to stop suffering over that in this lifetime. He's hopeful that he will stop suffering over it. So here's what I see that's really, really simple. No one asked me, but I'm sharing it with you guys. Here's what I see. If you're going through that, like if you're suffering over the sense of aging, the sense of being a burden, looking ugly is one thing. Okay. That's always been my thing, because I got vanity like a mofo, which I love about myself. So the thing is, I'm not suffering over it. It's not a bad thing at all. I fucking love it. I love myself for that. Okay. It doesn't mean anything to me. The one that's projected wants to be vain. Okay. Vain is one thing. And, you might have different definition of vain. Maybe I'm using the wrong word, but the thing is, I basically, I have happen to be projecting an image that fucking cares about how it looks to age, like since I was pretty young. And I know there's lots of people like that. That's why people go and get Botox and stuff like that, right? There's lots of people like that. Like the one that we projected is like that. So I've been on this thing for way longer than this fucking Satsang dude, because he was doing Advaita, right? And he wasn't like blessed with this, what I'm calling vanity thing. So he's doing Advaita this whole time, and Advaita basically teaches you that the body isn't real. That's basically the teaching. Well, here's where I see it. I've been talking about this for a while. Here's where I see people who are into Advaita and people who are into A Course in Miracles, where the teaching is that the body isn't real. They take it as if they shouldn't care for the body. It's not the same as what they're talking about. It's not the same as what they're talking about in A Course in Miracles and Advaita. The way the ego interprets that the body isn't real. The way the ego would interpret that the body isn't real is that you could just basically treat it like shit and not care for it, not care about it, right? And it's not like that, like you're recognizing, okay, not one thing doesn't have an effect on another. So let's say you're taking supplements, okay? And like for me, I love taking supplements. There's something about fucking taking supplements that I really enjoy. I got all different kinds and I change them up all the time. That's another thing that I like. Like I'm not married to any of them. I don't have sayings like I'm going to be taking this for the rest of my life. Or I don't have sayings like, if I don't take a certain thing, I'm not going to be able to digest food, for instance. Okay. I may be able to get a magic trick off of things, but that's because I'm fucking good. Right. I was like, it's like that's basically symbolic of the creative power that we are. It's like we manifest illusions. And when we're relaxing, when we're in a relaxed state of mind, where it's not as if the pressure is on ourselves to take care of this form, but just a trusting that this form is taken care of, and a willingness to follow guidance in that vein, in that regard. There's just a willingness to follow the guidance. I'm not all conceptual about my shit. Like I got all these things that I'm taking, right? I know about them. I know what it says they do and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know anything about them being able to affect my body, though. That's not true. I mean, if we gave it some kind of power with our mind, that's one thing. We give all kinds of things power with our mind. How do you think a car gets you from point A to point B? It's not because of the mechanics, do you think? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense, actually. Like it makes no sense. Or an airplane, right? It's our concepts that fly that thing in the sky. It's a projection, right? It's a projection of our concepts that even make it possible. Now, if the thought that if someone didn't have a thought that it would be possible to fly in an airplane, then there's no way it would have manifested. It just doesn't do that. Right. There must be a thought about it. So the interesting thing is, then I hear the dude say, the Satsang guy, aging is inevitable. I was just like, almost said, what the fuck, right out loud, almost. And instead I just chuckled under my breath. Because it is funny, it is hilarious, it's all coming from my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, and my friends in the car, they're like, yeah, this guy, he's like, he trained with Papa G and these other guys and stuff like that. And I'm feeling like, oh man, I'm open for like a big fucking deep fucking spiritual talk, something that just like rocks my fucking world, where I'm like, fuck yeah. Well, this did do that, but not in the way it was intended. there's automatically this thought about, this like major spiritual guru that's just gonna shine a light on something for me, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, in a state of complete fucking, Casey was talking about 4 hours of being totally awake and blissful, and I'm like, woo, that sounds good, like a good ride. Let's go over there, so anyways, that's a different service though too. I didn't do that service. I just did the Satsang. There's some kind of service that he does. I forgot, it's something awakening, where she said that he has some kind of scientific thing to help with. It can pick up on your reaction to some concept that he says to you, and it can like help clear that out. Maybe I'm going to go to him now that I'm talking about that. That just sounds kind of fun. Maybe he'll tell me that concept that aging is inevitable. Maybe that's the one. Oh no. That'll be a good one though. But there's obviously a part of me that believes that. That's why I would manifest other people to say it. Right. Especially like a spiritual teacher or something to say it. That's why I would manifest. It's kind of comical, right? You got to admit, right? It's like, of course, there it is. But what I see is, in teaching and learning, basically you're only teaching and learning your own mind, right? So when I get the perception of him saying that, immediately, number one is for, don't project it as if it's actually coming from the other person. And for this, it's basically a way of knowing this. And this is one thing that he taught really early on, which I loved, because the way that he taught it was in a way I hadn't considered before. And then it's just like, kind of like saw that a little bit deeper, so that I could share with you too how it is that I kind of like go through the day. Because he had us do this meditation. He said, now your eyes can be open or closed. And normally when you're in meditation, you're still focused on this separate eye, like what it's doing, like whether or not it's being quiet or noisy or shifty or irritated or agitated or talking too much. And there'd be all kinds of voices like that. That's really common and normal. So he said, if we can be as awareness of all of those little things like that are making it focused on this eye that doesn't actually exist, right? It doesn't actually exist. He's going to see it. I know he's going to see that fucking concept is killing him. I know it. Maybe either he's going to ask me, or he's going to somehow find out at some point. Oh, I know he will. I don't know about in this lifetime, but I have a feeling he will. And I blessed it. I blessed it in that moment when he said, I don't know why I'm suffering, but I know it's for a good reason. And I hope, this is how I heard it. It's been recorded too. So you might play the recording. You're like, wow, Hope's completely full of shit. She totally changed it. Well, that's possible. It's all for me. So anyways, I know the dude isn't actually out there in the world. I know I put him right there for this, so I could see stuff, basically. Right. So he goes, just being aware of this eye that's thinking, that seems to be doing things, it's trying to be quiet, it's trying to be in meditation, all this different stuff. And notice, basically being aware of all of the sensations, like I've been talking about forever, like all the sensations in the body, the sensations in the mind. It's really what you have. You have sensations in the body, sensations in the mind. It's really the same thing. The body isn't separate, but you sense the body as a feeling. All right, included with emotions. There's the physical sense of the body, there's the emotional sense of the body. It's all part of what I'm talking about here. And then there's the perception, as in thinking. Thinking is like every physical thing that you perceive. Sight is one of the body senses, right? So you're aware of the sight, you're aware of the sounds, you're aware of those gross major senses. And you're also being aware of any physical sensations and emotional sensations, right? And then there's the thinking too, actual thoughts, right? So that's all illusion. It's all illusion. There's no reality to any of that. That's what we are to experience. That's how the wisdom comes in. That's what this guy was basically. This is how I heard it. This is how I grasped it. And this is just one way of looking at from a different angle what I mean to share with you. You know, this is how I go about my whole day. There's moments where I get lost and I notice, you know why? Because I'm so used to noticing how I feel. Jesus even said, do you want to know if you took a wrong turn? Notice how you feel. How do you know? Notice how you feel. It's like over and over again, right? But this is something the ego does not want to see. Definitely does not want to see, not noticing how you feel. That's why the thinking. Okay. So in meditation, which is right throughout all the day, really, it's not like some certain time that, you know, the practice of meditation where you're sitting still and having a practice of meditation, that is for practicing for the rest of the life. That's why it's called a practice. You actually do not need that practice when you don't need the fucking practice. And here's another thing. You don't need it when you don't want it, because you're not going to learn how to do it while you don't want it. If you're forcing yourself, I love that. Oh my gosh. Someone told me this week, and boy, did I get a sense of a guilty feeling. It was so good. It was so, so good. You know, whenever a friend says something like that to me, I just feel more fond of them. I love them. I think it's beautiful. So my friend, we were talking about gardening. She was talking about how she gardens, and she asked me if I garden. I go, oh no, I don't garden at all. She's like, really? She was surprised because she thought she only liked people that gardened, I think. I mean, that's what I thought. That's how it struck me. She thought that she just didn't like people that didn't garden, and she seemed to like me. I get this kind of stuff all the time. Some people think that they can't like someone who's not a vegan. They're like, already like me. They're like, oh shit, I already like you. Now I find out you eat meat. What the fuck am I going to do now? That's some good stuff. So, so anyways, I got the sense like, you know, she was like, shit, she was surprised, you know? And I go, yeah. So then I started explaining the situation. I go, yeah, when I first got here, I definitely thought I was going to garden. And then I started doing gardening and I realizing I was not a fucking gardener. So I didn't force myself. So I told her, I told her that. I came out of my mouth. I didn't force myself. And she goes, oh, well, I force myself to do it all the time. But I'm glad. I feel so relieved after I do it. I feel so relieved that I did it. And then I go, yep, you're a gardener. Kind of like, congratulations. Right? Yeah, you're a gardener. So here's what I see. This thing about forcing yourself to do something and then feeling happy about it afterward, that is how the ego uses productivity. Okay, your sense of productivity, your sense of being productive. You're a human doing. A lot of people think of gardening like it's creating. It is not creating, okay? In creation, you don't have to trim the shit. Okay, you do that. You know why you do gardening? It's so great. Everything we do is so selfish and silly. It's for your own mental health. You fucking do gardening. Okay, it's for your own mental health. It's why we do anything. That's why we do anything. Now, anything that you find yourself doing, you could do it in love. In that, it doesn't fucking matter what you're doing. There's this weird right and wrong thing that comes up. And I see it's really subtle, you know. It's this real subtle energy. For most people, they don't even notice this stuff. People don't even, I mean, every word to me is just for noticing. It's all coming from my own mind. I'm really curious, you know. So that's one reason I stay home a lot. I don't have a whole bunch of interactions because woo, it's like, ooh. When there's really big parties, like a lot of people, it's a rare occasion that I actually show up and interact with that many people. Every one of those interactions is potent for me because every one of them is my mind talking to itself. So I'm really well aware about what's transpiring, and it's on an energetic level. The words are not so meaningful, but the energetics, very meaningful. Those are, and still they're an illusion. I'm not saying that, but they're meaningful in the sense that they give you information for awakening. All of it is information for awakening. It's so amazing. That's why I love all of the interactions. So good. So here's the thing. The idea that aging is inevitable is an attack on your being. And it comes out in a lot of different ways, a variety of different ways. So my friend who said that to me about, just wait till you get to be my age kind of thing. Just wait. You're going to see how fucked up it is when you get to be my age. That's really good. It's tricky. It's tricky and funny and good. She saw it though. She saw it right away. I was like, you don't want that for me. You don't want that for yourself. It's not a reality. Not a reality. That's not a reality. Now you may feel, you may think you feel pain in your body that's associated with aging, right? You might think you feel pain in your body, but that pain in your body is not associated with aging. It has nothing to fucking do with aging, I tell you. Brittleness, bone brittleness, balance is another one. Cognitive function is another one. So I had the gift of, man, I saw myself in the mirror when I was like 30. I think I was 30. Yeah, I was 30. And it was like horror, absolute horror. I just saw lines starting to form on my forehead. And, I live in Orange County and, kind of like raised with a mom who's like really scared of aging too. Right. Really scared of and it all has to do with visually. To us, we didn't even think about the fucking other things like lack of cognitive function, pain, all this different stuff seems to go along with aging. We weren't even thinking about that stuff. It was more like, fuck, we want to look good. Aging looks like shit. Okay. That's just looking tore back. The last thing we want is to look all tore back. Saggy tits, saggy things, other saggy things, the whole thing, right? So people who are into things like A Course in Miracles and Advaita that teach that the body isn't real, when they don't have so much that kind of energy where they just want to look good, they're not noticing these concepts that are constantly being projected onto the body. And they're not noticing that they're, these concepts about aging are still being projected onto the body. And that's like kind of like you could say it's a worldly thing. It's erupting in the whole world, which is also one mind, right? So you could say the whole world is reflecting my mind. The aspects of the world that I'm going to see are going to perfectly reflect my mind. Okay, let me rephrase that though. The aspects of the world which I'm going to view. I like to differentiate between see and view now, because it just puts something, it puts like a division there between them. Viewing has to do with the world. That's one level. Seeing has to do with truth. That's another level. The only thing I can see is the truth. I can see the truth. What I'm perceiving is not the truth. That's not the truth. So I'm viewing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm viewing it. You see the distinction there? So it's like, what I'm noticing a lot is it is important for us to distinguish, get like a sense of separation. Since you're good at getting a sense of separation, use that ability to get a sense of separation between the levels where you can view something and you can see something. Get a sense of separation between those. You could refocus, repurpose any of your abilities toward awakening. One of your abilities is to sense separation. So sense separation between this, sense separation between what you get a sense of being real. Okay, what you can perceive, what you can view is another word I'm giving you right now. What you can view, okay, and what you can see, the truth of what is, okay. Love, basically, that's seeing. When you're aware of love, that's seeing, right? Now, in a dream, your ability to be aware of love comes down to a choice. That's your creative power. That's the real garden that you're planting. It's like a garden in your heart. In A Course in Miracles, it's called the altar. Your altar to God. Basically, your altar to God is the same as your altar to your brothers and sisters, right? It's like, you could say that you owe a debt to all of your brothers and sisters because you taught them this concept of separation. You taught them this concept of aging. You taught them this concept of dying, as if it's true, right? Everyone that you perceive, that's why you owe a debt to them. So how do you repay that debt? You build the altar. You could say you garden the garden of your soul, or whatever it is. It's a way of being with what you perceive, with awareness that it's not a reality, but full willingness to be with it. Right? So you're getting a perception of something through the vision. You're getting a perception of something through the hearing. Right? So to give you for instance, while I'm sitting at this satsang, I'm going to call geriatric satsang. Okay. I'm going to throw that in there now, because that was the word that came to me at the end of it. I was riding home with my friends and I was just cracking up. I was laughing so hard. I was just feeling so light, so joyful. It was really a beautiful experience. And I go, man, that was like a geriatric satsang. And they're like, yeah. I go, everything was about aging. Like every single question, every person that came up had something about aging. It was so funny. And then I'm watching the guy doing the satsang. He had a few answers that were like, okay, there we go. But for the most part, the person giving the satsang was caught up in the same thing as everyone who's coming up with a question. Really, everyone is caught up in the same kind of thing. So if any of those people that went to that satsang need to hear this, they will. That's so fun. Everyone hears what they need to hear. So yeah, it's just a sense like, so as I'm sitting there, if I'm getting the sense like, maybe a thought is occurring to me, and it did, lots of thoughts occur to me. One of them is, why the fuck am I even here? I could walk home. I'm actually close to home. I could walk home. The thought occurs to me like that. The whole time I just keep going back to the beginning where we're in that, he's having us practice this meditation, which is what I practice all the time. So just to, have it presented to me in that kind of like a different way kind of brought me deeper into it. And I was already into it. I'd been to church earlier that day to see Casey speak, which was, if you know Casey, she was fucking awesome. She did like 5 minutes. She was amazing. She had a lot of stuff written down. It seemed like she was mostly reading, but she knows how to read, or, she knows how to read in a way that really delivers it, because she's feeling it for herself. She's feeling it for herself. I could sense that. But anyways, I sat at a church for an hour. And whenever I'm sitting in a place like that, I'm just inspired to, really like sit still. I'm kind of like a statue. I'm not there to speak or anything like that, but I'm kind of like a statue. You know, I did Vipassana before, and I like to be like even when I'm resting, when I'm sleeping, I sleep like a statue too. I just like, you know, I like to receive. I'm there to receive, right? So not to judge, that's another thing. I mean, my mind's always judgy as fuck, but that's not me, right? It's fine. It pops up, but that's not me. As long as I'm aware of the judginess, then I don't pursue it, right? So then I'm not like what you might say is judging, even though I'm not capable of judging. See, I know I'm not capable of judging, so I'm not motivated to pursue thoughts of judgment, since that makes no sense. Like, where am I going on that, right? There's nowhere good if I start following that. Pasquale, aging doesn't have to look like shit. Okay, so here's what I'm saying, Pasquale. There's no such thing as aging, is what I'm saying. So aging doesn't have to look like shit. That's the kind of like the best that the ego can do, because the ego is still going to keep the concept that aging is actually a thing, right? It's like you know, ego wants to keep that concept that there actually is aging though, but it doesn't have to look like shit. Like, you can get surgeries and shit, right? See, I don't buy into that. That's bullshit. That's some bullshit. I don't buy into that one bit. By the way, you look awesome. I'd like to say, whenever I see you, I go, man, he just looks like a little boy. He's so cute. I love you. And I know you would be willing to help me out with this. This is actually my brother. My brother's name is Pasquale. He's an Italian guy. Apparently I'm Italian too, but he seems a lot more Italian. When you get a name like Pasquale, you know, you start seeming Italian. Hey, Pasquale. I know you'll do that with me too. So here's the thing. For me, it's no matter what I perceive, like I perceive signs of aging. Okay. As it even perceives signs of aging on myself. It's not like I try to deny that. Like, oh no, I don't perceive that. Yes, I get the perception of it. I see shit. It's just that I know the only reason I'm perceiving aging is because I'm thinking erroneously. I know that's the only reason. That's the only difference. I know that the only reason, again, that I perceive aging on myself or on anyone, it's not just about this form. This form is in my perception, just like all the other forms. I don't blame any aging that I perceive on the body that seems to be aging. Why would I do that? That makes no sense. If I'm perceiving the aging even on another person, on another body, that has to be coming from me. That has to be coming from my concept that I taught them that you can age. I'm mistaken. All right. And I'm also gentle with myself. I'm gentle with myself in that I'm not demanding on myself, like I gotta hurry up and get this so people can stop aging. Jesus Christ, save their asses. How could you do that to them? They look like shit, right? And here's the thing. It's so funny because as we age with the like age as an ego, basically, that's the only thing that can really age, the ego, right? As we age as an ego, we start accumulating this process, this mindset, like this is inevitable. And like, that's to try to comfort the ego, because the ego doesn't want you to know that you're causing it. You're causing all of the aging you perceive. So for instance, Pasquale, check this out, bro. So look at this. If you look at me and you go, damn, Hope has really aged. Here's the thing. Or here's the opposite of it. Wow, Hope looks really young for her age. Either one of those, two sides of the same coin. Wow, you look really young for 50. Notice that that's one of those ageism things that actually makes aging into a reality. Look at this. Look at this. Aging is coded into the DNA. It's coded. You know what coded means? That means the mind gave it the code for aging. That means the mind can take away the code for aging. Isn't that amazing? Like, all of the power is in our mind. Now, will we get the perception that we abolished that code? There's one way to say it. Change the code, abolish the code, whatever. In this lifetime, I don't know. And you know what? For me, it doesn't matter. This whole shit can turn gray, get wrinkled, fall down. I don't care. Now, does my projected sense of self care? Yes, it does. It does care. And see, the thing is, I don't have to suffer over that, because it cares. You know what it's doing? It's looking for solutions in the world. That's what it fucking does. And you know what? I don't have to burden myself with it. So even the sense of self gets this relief that it's not on its own shoulders. Because it's looking for it, it's open to any answers. It's not looking for it in a way like, oh my God, I got to find this. Oh my God, I need the key to youth. Oh my God, I got to find the key to youth. Because it's open to that. Because that's a pain point for it. See, the thing is, because of the way that I see things, my projected sense of self having a pain point is not a problem for me. It's having a pain point that's not a problem for me. I don't wish that on it. I will for it to be relieved of that pain point. And because of that, it's more relaxed. The sense of self that I'm projecting is more relaxed. It's like whenever I get the perception of aging or feeling sorrowful about it, maybe I'll feel my skin. I'll be like, oh, yesterday I was at church and I reached up, I went like this, and the skin on my arm felt like it was dry and fucking taut. And I was like, what the actual fuck? My eyes probably got big. And I was like, what the flying fuck, right? And see, the thing is, I seem to be, and I think this is fun and funny, I seem to be possibly getting, I don't know, I haven't looked it up yet. I might, I don't know. I don't have a thing about that. I don't care. The thing is, I'm not frantically doing it, right? And you know why I'm not frantically doing it? Because I've been for a long time practicing gentleness when that sense of self is frantically doing something. This is exactly what that dude was talking about. It's an ongoing meditation. So as she's, oh my God, I'm freaking out, typing online, looking for a solution, as she's like that, it's like there's this sense of awareness and compassion for that, right? And that's why at this point, I don't get that. It doesn't occur because it just kind of like purifies that. It's kind of like blocking, but you know, it's way more mental than the physical kind of blocking. You can say the physical actions, that's all mental. It's to the same degree, really to the same degree. But the way it's perceived is that, you know, one is through a feeling sense where you're actually getting a physical sensation. That's like what blocking is like. You're getting a physical sensation, and with your attention in the breath, you're purifying the pain, right? The pain is getting purified, right? In this way, the pain is also being purified because you are sensing an emotional pain, right? While you're all up in arms and you're upset and you're searching, you're looking up symptoms in this way. I'm not saying it's looking up symptoms all by itself, but look, it's in this way. where you're just like, you got to get something, you got to get an answer, because it's going to ease your suffering. It's not going to, I'll tell you that right away. And one way of being aware of it is being aware that it's not going to ease your suffering. Nothing that you find, no solution that you find is going to ease your suffering. So the different solutions just occur to me. And that is one reason why I'm already on all that stuff. The Satsang guy took quite some time explaining to the room, and I feel like it was much needed too, because this room is a room of apparently aging Advaita Course in Miracles kind people, right? And they this whole time have been neglecting. It's not like you can be completely careless, but neglect is a certain kind of craftiness of the ego. It's different. It's just like with kids, right? I could be considered, the way I raise kids, neglectful by the world. The world might consider the way I raise kids neglectful. I let them do whatever they want. I feel fine about it. Any upset feelings that I have, I go take care of them on my own, right? I do my best not to project, but if I do find myself projecting again, that does occur for me sometimes. At this point, I'm very aware of it, very, very aware of it. It does occur for me though. Being gentle with it. That's what helps you be more aware of it. The more you're not gentle with it, the more you're trying to hide it from yourself. You're trying to make yourself into an image that's compassionate, which is an attack on yourself. Okay. So it's just a matter of being aware of where your attention is going and meeting it with compassion. So people would call that neglectful. Now, it's anything but neglectful. Is it careless? Yes. Let's call it carefree. It's not careless and it's not careful. It's more like carefree, right? You don't have a care because you're listening to your guidance. That's not neglectful. That's a different thing, right? So you're really caring for everything, including the body you're putting into the field when you're carefree, because you're allowing the spirit to basically care for it, right? But people end up in resistance to the body sense, not knowing it. It's very innocent. Following it, it's one of the things about following Advaita or Course in Miracles. That's one of the kind of, you can say it's like a stumbling block. Okay. You're sweet too, Pasquale. It's like a stumbling block. It's like you can't get past that until you're willing. The ego wants you to keep all these concepts. Like even the concept that your body isn't real. Remember, it's a concept. Still, it seems to be speaking to you in a language called sensation, right? It's not really your body speaking to you. Your body can't speak to you. It's got no intelligence in it. But this is how the Holy Spirit communicates with you through body sensations. The more you can say, one word for it is gross. It's not like gross out, but gross like major, like heavy sensations. It's not even really it is very heavy, but it's not really looked at as heavy. I'm talking about the major ones. I'm talking about the sight, the sound, the hearing, all those ones that we consider the major ones. Those are so loud as a sensation that most people are very much distracted with the loud ones and not aware of the quiet ones. Okay. The spirit is also speaking to you through all of the sensations, even the gross sensations, sight, all that. Also, the ego is speaking to you through all the sensations too. And so you have two voices in your mind. It's a matter of which one you're choosing. The ego would be using all of those subtle subtle sensations of body sense, the subtle ones, to build resistance. You don't have time for that. You don't need to know about that. How can you have time for all those sensations? Just focus on the major sensations, the gross sensations, the sight, the sound, the touch, all that stuff. Taste, people get all caught up with eating, right? People get all caught up with that. They're not addicted to food, they're addicted to thinking. But the sense, that sensation, right? Taste. The ego would have you resisting all of those subtle sensations. So when I'm sitting in church, I'm sitting straight up. It's a kind of chair where, you know, my legs aren't folded like they are now. In this chair, my legs are folded. So it's a different sense. Like I could sit back against a chair with my legs folded and really like feel like I'm in a good alignment. But if my legs aren't folded and I'm sitting in a chair, I like to have my back erect. I don't use a seat back, right? I just like to have my back erect. My legs are folded, especially if I'm like sitting in one of those chairs where you're just upright in a church area, something like that. I like to be mindful of how I can align myself in the moment. I just like how I can align myself for better transmission, let's say, better transmission of energy, right? And that's just another thing, you know, it's like you don't have to do that if it doesn't appeal to you, but it appeals to me. I really like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm receiving the information, and the Reverend comes up and immediately starts talking about, this is after Casey's talk. The Reverend comes up and she immediately starts talking about the yin yang and how we need to find balance and all this other stuff. And my mind just automatically starts going, oh my goodness. These guys are they're on that level. They want me to come speak over here and they're on that level, you know? They're doing the yin yang thing and they're trying to get into balance and all that. They're speaking on that level. And then I like, you know, kind of like glance around the room and I'm like, they really want me to come talk here. And, you know, I noticed like this voice going, they're not going to be able to receive whatever you're sharing with them, you know? And then I just automatically go back to basically the meditation, kind of like I've been sharing with you guys, where I'm just aware of the thinking, right? I'm aware of the thinking. And, you know, that I'm the only one who can be aware of the thinking. The separate sense of self, the perceiver, is just aware of all of the thoughts themselves, right? As if it's the center of the thought. So when the thought occurs, the thought arises to me, I know it's not personal. See, I don't know. I don't really know. I found myself saying on an earlier thing where I got the same impression. I was just kind of like, these people don't want to hear what I have to say. They're playing on a whole different field. They're playing on a whole different kind of field, right? And it doesn't appear to me like, who knows? There may be a couple that are and be like, aha, and I see. But anyways, my friend would kind of like got that. He thought I was going to talk at this thing. Well, he never called me up to talk. And then at the end of it, he said, what do you think about talking to this group? And I go, well, it seems to me that they're on a totally different playing field. Like they want to be on a particular kind of level. And I don't know. I mean, I'll do it if you want, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. But I'm not going to promise that I'm not going to be offending people. Like if you say, okay, come on, roll it out here at this thing, and I'm not going to like, basically be responsible for that. Right. I let you know, I'm just going to be letting that loose, whatever it is that wants to come forth. My friend KC said, you may want to tone down the cussing at the church if you're speaking at the church. I go, I cannot guarantee that. Basically, I don't need to speak. I don't feel like I need to. And if, people want me to, I'm not going to be censoring myself. If people want me to speak, I will. But it's like basically all the shit that you just taught right now, I'm going to be telling them the opposite of that probably. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm probably going to be telling the opposite of what you just told them. I don't know in which way it's going to occur. All I take care of is the thinking. Like, as far as like, well, it's all thinking, feelings, everything. It's all thinking. It's all illusion. It's all projected. So it's like, as long as the thinking is taken care of, meaning like it's in the right category, it's in the right place. I can see the order of things, like the thinking is just occurring to me. I'm open to things. I'm not like completely shutting it out. But, the thing occurred to me was, hey, what if I could talk to those people? What if there was a way in which, and see here's the thing, all possibilities are possible, right? So even through going through the life, I'm like, what if there's a way in which the people that seem to be playing on this one field, like thinking that they need to just get balanced, totally misunderstanding of what the light and the dark are, total misunderstanding of that. There's phases people go through too. So anyways, I felt open to that. And that recalled in my mind when I'm sitting at this church. When I'm sitting at the church, they seem like they're even more committed to this level of perception than the ones from before. They seem even more committed, Reverend included, to this way of perceiving, right? So I asked the Reverend at the end, because the Reverend had texted me or left me a voice message, and I hadn't gotten back with her yet. It was a Wednesday, and I hadn't gotten back with her yet, and here it is Sunday. And I saw her, and I saw her after she gave her, I think it's called a sermon in a church. She gave her sermon, I'm going to say. I don't know if that's right, but she goes, did you get my message? And I said, yeah, I did get your message. I go, it's one of the reasons why I showed up here. I definitely got invited by KC, and I probably would have been here anyways, but I feel like it's one of the reasons I showed up here. Just wanted to see you in person. And I go, are you familiar with my work? And she goes, yes, I do my research. And I go, okay, all right, let's have a conversation then. We're going to have a conversation. I don't know if it's actually going to go that way, that I'm actually going to be speaking at the church. Because who knows, we're going to meet and see how that is, see if we're even like vibing, on as far as teaching, as far as spiritual teaching, because I'm nowhere near that concept about the light and the dark needing to be in balance. Nowhere near that. The fact of the matter is that there's not dark. That's a lie. That's part of the aging thing. I'm telling you, that yin yang thing, that yin yang symbol is part of the aging thing. It's part of that coding, because it's like, you have to have dark if you want light. It's the same as saying you have to have death if you want life. How many people believe in that? Look, that's how it appeared to me that this whole church was vibing. You have to accept the darkness is just as real as the light. No, that's the basis for this world. No, that is not it. And see, the thing is, I'm so certain of that. I've already been through the concept. I'm so certain of that, that there's no compromise. There's no compromise in that. I'm not going to be going into there and compromising on that. I can't do it because I already know. I mean, who knows what the guidance will be? Maybe I'll show up there and I'll have nothing to say about anything that seems to be offensive. Maybe I'll just be there loving people up. Maybe it'll just be like, you know, something really light. I don't know. It's not up to me. But I said, okay, you know, last time I talked at that church, it didn't seem to go over too well with them. But it was a different reverend. Okay, they got a new reverend now. So we'll see where the guidance goes on that. So since I was in church for an hour, I was sitting still for an hour. I already had like some good meditative vibes going. Just sitting still seems to bring it into a really potent, I guess, intensity of seeing and the intensity of knowing, you know. When the body's held really still, this is what I learned through Vipassana. When the body's held really still, you can get a sense of everything that's occurring, all the thoughts, all the sensations. For me, any pain in the body, like what people normally do is move a little bit when they sense some pain in the body. Watch that. Watch it in yourself. You'll move a little bit when you sense some pain in your body. That's the thing about sitting still, because pain is fear, right? Pain is fear. So I like to get a sense that a pain arose in the body sense, and then just notice it. When I move, I don't notice it because now I just moved, right? It's not that I can't move or I'm forcing myself or something like that. This is fun for me. Maybe it'll be fun for you too. It's like that. There's nothing that you need to do. So I'm watching this sermon and I'm just taking it in and I'm like, it's all my mind. All the seeming confusion that pops up, it's all my mind. So in that sense, it's my responsibility. Not to go in and change the church people, not to go in and change them, but it's my responsibility in a way that as it's arising for me in my mind, I'm aware that I made it. I'm willing to be aware of that. So then I don't get taken off onto tangents in the mind where I find myself shifting a bunch in my chair. That's basically what happens. People get real shifty, they get fidgety, their leg shakes. You know, they'll just be sitting there with their leg going 90 miles an hour, right? Oh, Pasquale, you're so cute. He said, give everybody your light. You're beautiful. Thank you, Pasquale. You're such a sweetie. I feel that. I mean, whenever anyone reflects beauty back to me, I know it's my beauty, right? And whenever anybody is reflecting aging or ageism, I'm calling it ageism, it means something completely different in the world. That's where you discriminate against people who are old. I'm not talking about it like that. I'm using that word in a way where you make aging into something that is the truth for you in your mind, right? Whenever I perceive that, I know it's my own ageism. See, if I don't perceive someone as wholly youthful, healthy, strong, I'm misperceiving. Okay? I know that. I know I'm misperceiving. Do I get that perception a lot in the world? Yes, I do. And I'm aware that it's a misperception. That's how I'm undoing the coding in the DNA. You're welcome. That's how I'm undoing the coding. And again, I'm going to say, will it manifest for my form, the form that I'm projecting? I don't know, and I don't care. It will at some point. That's a given. I'm certain of that. The end is certain. The end is demonstrating. Everyone sees that there was no aging, that we made it up. The end is certain. Whether it's in this lifetime is neither here nor there to me. I will show you. If I turn into an old fucking lady, and who knows, maybe I am in your view already, okay? And if I turn into an old fucking lady that's all gray and saggy and wrinkly, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. I'm still using it, the body sense, for undoing the belief that aging is a possibility, because it's a DNA coding. I'm not out to try to do it for myself like that. At the same time, I'm open to any kind of guidance. It's not like I close that aspect of the perception off, right? Any kind of guidance, it has to do with that, basically taking care of my mind. And, you know, part of taking care of your mind is allowing and receiving any of the guidance that has to do with anything that has to do with your body that, yes, doesn't exist. But it's like, don't resist that. So now back to the Satsang guy. I had such a spiritual teaching kind of day yesterday. I went to church and went to Satsang. So, you know, back to the Satsang guy, he was talking about how, well, he mentioned, he didn't expound on it at all. I'm sure he got the sense that it was delusional, especially since I'm sitting right in front of me, right in front of him. At first, I was sitting next to my friends in the back row, but and here's what they said: you're the youngest one here. You're the youngest one here. Okay. I'm like, wow, I'm still the youngest one here. I seem to be 50 and I'm the youngest one here. This is great. I've been told this my whole life. It's been great. You're the youngest one here. Okay. So I happen to get this stool. Basically, I'm the only one with a stool that's got no back on it. Right. So yeah, because I'm the youngest one. So I can handle that. Apparently, when you're 50, you can handle sitting on a stool with your back straight. I guess, who knows when it kicks in where you got to slump over on something. Okay. So anyways, a person comes and sits in front of me, and my friend who's sitting next to me goes, "Hey, you're tall." So when he sat in front of me, then I can't even see the Satsang dude anymore, right? I'm gonna have to go like this, my neck and stuff. I didn't even like have much of a thought. Definitely had a thought about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even perceive my friend saying, "Hey, let's put Hope right in the front." I'm practically on the dude's lap. I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 12 inches. No, I'm not good at measurements. Maybe like 3 feet. But he's close. 2 feet maybe. So anyways, one thing I'm noticing when the thing is first starting, this guy's looking around the room. He doesn't make eye contact with me though. I'm like, interesting. That was the first thing I noticed. I think toward the end, he made eye contact with me 2 times. And I was like, oh, there you are. So that was one interesting thing. I'm not making anything of that. I just got noticed it. right? What I'm being shown right now is the reason why he wouldn't look at me is because he doesn't want to see as much as might be shown there at that moment, right? He's coming up with his teaching, and also part of the teaching is that aging is inevitable. So that would automatically make him not want to look here, because that's not what's being that's not what's being held, right? So sitting that close and noticing all of the things, I'm like, wow, this is so pointed for me. It's so good. It's so good to see how much hiding there is about, and this is in my mind, like trying to hide it, right? Like, no, don't even want to look at how I'm holding on to this concept of aging in all the different ways I'm holding on to it. And it comes out in so many different ways. It's like, you're the youngest one here. That's, again, my mind. And it's like, and again, all it is for me is an opportunity to demonstrate that that's not true. That doesn't necessarily mean saying something to the person. It's just in my mind. For one, noticing that the person, it's not about the person. None of the things I'm sharing are about the person. It's all about my mind making illusions and using those people for what will you teach and learn? It's giving me an opportunity. What will I teach and learn? I'm always doing it. Anytime I'm getting a perception, you guys are all the same too. Whenever you're getting a perception, you're teaching and learning something. So if I'm not projecting that it's coming from the other person as if they've got a problem, right? No one's got a problem. This isn't even really happening. It's just that this is being spoken. You're the youngest one here. So you could see that the concept is meaningless. The concept itself is meaningless. That's all. In that moment, I'm working a miracle because I'm demonstrating to my mind that it's a dream. Remember what a miracle is. It's a demonstration, an establishment in your mind that you dream a dream and its contents are not true. So it's not about the person, it's about the concept that's being presented and whether or not you're going to give meaning or reality to that concept. Pinning it on another person is a way of giving meaning or reality to the concept, right? So it's like when the teaching is arising by the means of a satsang, that aging is inevitable. When that teaching arises, that's another opportunity for me. And that's where I make a miracle, work a miracle by number one, not pinning it on him. That's kind of like when that thought arose, when I heard him say that, it was kind of like, what am I doing here? What a waste of my fucking time. Right? Now, as soon as I see that concept arise, because I'm holding a meditation, which I'm normally doing all the time, because I'm holding a meditation, it's immediately an opportunity for another miracle. There's another miracle. Oh, there's another opportunity for a miracle. Basically, it's not a meaningless thought. Remember, the miracle establishes that you dream a dream and it's not one bit true. That means the thought that occurred to me, what am I doing here? It's a waste of time. And, also, I'm in the middle of a sale right now. I've got all kinds of people calling me and I seem to be fucking busy. Seem to be, again, there's an opportunity for a miracle. See, that chattering mind just gets shut down. It just gets shut down. It's because it's not meaningful. It pops up. It's not meaningful. That's not why I'm here. Wherever I am is the perfect place for me to find myself. Even if I do find myself getting up and walking out the door, I'm not opposed to that either. But I noticed how my friends really wanted me there. One of my friends said before she left, she walked out before I did. she said, I really want you to have this guy's healing. I want you to have his thing. And I just like, I just laughed. I'm like, okay. Because he does some kind of one-on-one session. She's like, I really want you to do this. And I just kind of like laugh. I go, oh my gosh, it's so funny that you want me to do this. And then I heard from another woman while I was still sitting there, how amazing it was when she got this particular one-on-one healing for the person. And I'm thinking, well, from the person, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's nothing like the Satsang. Right. But again, it's the same thing. I just don't go with that thought. So I'm still open. And then a thought occurred to me later on. I actually said it out loud to my husband, and I said, yeah, one of my friends said, she really wants me to do that one-on-one with this dude. And then the thought occurred to me and I spoke it out loud. I'm like, I don't really feel motivated to pay for something like that. Still, I don't give that, and that's open to change. I don't give that concept any meaning. Who knows? Maybe I'll find myself there. Maybe, in fact, it keeps on seeming more interesting to me. Who knows? Right? Because no one's really outside of yourself. No one's really outside of your mind. And here's the other thing. There's no one who can't help you. There's no one who can't help you. It's amazing. Because everyone's a reflection of your own mind. So of course it's helpful. If I find myself there, that's what is there for me. Okay, we got a couple things. Glenn said, middle path, lukewarm, LOL. I see what you're saying. Yes, I see what you're saying. In the Bible, it says that God would rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. Lukewarm in the biblical sense is like comfortable. You're just like really comfortable in life. You don't want it to be disturbed, right? For instance, I'll give you a for instance. I was watching a show. I've been watching this show. It's called the Kaminsky maybe method. Am I saying it right? Kaminsky. So the Kaminsky method is this show about basically old people. They're dying. They're also taking all these meds. One's getting chemotherapy for lung cancer. They're doing all, they mention medication by their common name that you hear on commercials. Probably. I don't know. I don't see the commercials. Things I don't recognize the name, right? The whole thing is like it's also it's many things, but it's also a commercial for drug companies. The guy uses Viagra, right? To have sex. He's on all these different drugs, all these different medications. He's on supplements too, but no brand names of supplements are named or anything like that. But like brand names of prescriptions are named so that people can go, oh, I might need that fucking medication. I could just go ask my doctor about that medication. Right? One of my friends even goes in the Satsang. She went up to talk about her ageism. That's what they were all doing. They're talking about their ageism. She was saying, I just want a pill. I just want to get a pill. I want to get a medical drug, basically, that stops me from having this early onset Alzheimer's that I'm experiencing. I think I've got Alzheimer's or something like that. I think that was the name. I just want a pill for that. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That just comes out like that. It's so good. I just want to cover that up. Right? That's what's lukewarm. So in that show, this guy, the last one, just really, I was like, wow. I said, wow, at the end of it, like out loud. I forgot what the name of it was, but it's where this one old dude, he's like, I don't know, he's in his 60s. I think they said he was 66, right? Apparently he's an old dude at 66. So he's he's crying at the end. He's doing this thing. It's really well done. He does it on stage in front of an actors group, right? He's taking this acting class and he had just gone through a heart attack, right? And so he's on stage and he starts crying about how he's wasted his fucking life because he just wanted to be comfortable. You know, he said he always wanted to do something besides what just the patterns that he fell into. But he decided to go for the comfort. And so he had like a job with a pension, and now he's retired. And he's meeting with these other old dudes, and these old dudes are not, they're older than him. They're like in their 70s, I think. But they're like, you know, still doing different shit. And he meets with these old dudes, and one of them goes, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm retired." And the guy goes, "No, get a job. No, get a fucking job. Do not be retired. Retired is the worst thing." Look at the word. Tired is right in it. Right? Tired is right there in the word. He goes, don't do that. Don't retire. Get a job. I don't care if it's Pizza Hut. Get a fucking job. Trust me. Don't be retired. Right. So I thought that was great too. I thought that was a really great part of the show. It's a really good teaching. It's like, don't do that. Don't go the retired route, because that's another way that we teach ourselves. It's like, you're doing all this stuff, you know, you're setting yourself up for when you're old and you can't do anything. You're using your time while you're youthful. Look at this. This is the concept. This is the way it's playing out. It doesn't have to play out like this. You're using the time while you're youthful to get set up so you don't have to worry about it when you're retired. You don't have to worry about things when you're retired. So basically, he was playing out. That's what he did with his life. Now that he's retired, he's like, fucking wasted my life. And then I just got a heart attack. I'm like, wow, that's a strong teaching right there. I felt that as a really strong, like, for anyone who's watching that, a really strong teaching, because now here it is. It's like, man, how many fucking days do I have left? Right? So when he's meeting with these old dudes, it's funny how all this age stuff is coming to me right now. It's so fun. I love it. When he's meeting with these old dudes, he's talking about how he wishes he would have done something different, like been in a band or something like that. How he wishes he would have done something different. And they're going, do that thing now. Don't be retired. And what they're saying is like, stop playing into it now. Remorse isn't going to help you. Being remorseful isn't going to help you. It's definitely a really good, solid teaching for everyone who happens to watch that show, where they think that they're setting themselves up for some kind of happiness in the future by sacrificing right now. That's the way the ego works. Like, you're going to be all set up in the future. And then the future comes and you're getting a heart attack. Aloha, Cynthia. I love you. Glenn called me pain seeker extraordinaire. Thank you, Glenn. So the middle path, as you know, let's talk about that too, because we talked about, you know, from the Jesus perspective, he'd rather you be hot or cold than lukewarm. And then we talked about how lukewarm is really, you know, kind of like that, okay, I'll just succumb and do this thing that I could do in society, and I'll just do that for the rest of my life, even though I'd rather be doing something else. You know, people think about it in those terms, like, I'm going to get a pension. I'm working toward a pension. Maybe you do get a pension, but you don't have to be in that mindset, right? I've been in jobs before where they had pensions. I thought it was fucking funny. People around me would be working toward a pension. And I'm just having a good time. I'm just trying to have a good time in the moment. They're talking about a pension, talking about getting position, all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm probably not going to be doing it that long though. What? Why not? Don't you want to set yourself up for, look at all the advantages of doing it this long? And I'm like, I don't even want to think about doing it that long. Everything's temporary to me. Even my marriage, to me, it's temporary. It could go all the way up until one of us croaks. But it's so temporary. Anything can occur. The teaching and learning value of our bodies seeming to be together, us seeming to be partners, the teaching and learning value of that may diminish where teaching and learning is more valuable in a different dynamic. I don't have any say in that. I'm glad. I just don't know, right? So that's the kind of lukewarm we talked about. Now, the middle path, like as the Buddha teaches it, okay? He teaches it very different from my perspective. And if you're like really into Buddhism and you think I'm completely full of shit, that's fine. That's fine. You know, this is my perception of it, the way the Buddha taught it, according to my perception. My experience with Buddhism kind of practices, the biggest experience is Vipassana. I only went once, but I took the teaching in very deeply. And, you know, I let that keep on teaching me. So according to the way the Buddha teaches it, from my perspective, my perception is the middle path is where you're not pursuing thoughts. Okay. It's the same as everything else, but they explain it. It's explained in a different way to me. The middle path is like right here in the middle, and you can either, and it wasn't like left to right, it was more like higher or lower in the middle. Okay. So, but you can look at it as left to right, doesn't matter. However it works for you. So this is extreme happiness when you're on the up. For people who are listening, you're up above the middle, let's say. And this is extreme happiness, like woohoo. But it's happiness that's based on perceiving something that you like. Okay. And then the opposite is extreme, let's say depression. And it's based on perceiving something that you don't like. The middle path is a way of basically the same kind of meditation that I've been talking about, where you're just aware of everything that's arising. You're aware of a heightened sense of happiness over the illusion. You're aware of that, right? You can even be aware of a heightened sense of happiness over having a spiritual realization. You can look at it like that too. You're just aware of that. So you're holding it like in a sense where it's allowed to come back to midline, back to even, this evenness with it, being even with it, right? Same thing with a depressed feeling, a depressed sensation. The middle path is just a way of being with it, where you have awareness that it's present. Its presence is, you're aware of its presence, but you're not making it meaningful. You're aware of the presence of thought. You're aware of the presence of feeling. You're aware of the presence of don't want that, and you're not making it meaningful. In this way, the two come together. The extreme happiness over what you're perceiving. You could be perceiving spiritual advancement and be really happy about that, right? or you could be perceiving that you're like a total fuck up and being really sad about that, right? Or you can be right in the middle where you're taking these fluctuations of the mind in and you're just aware of them. This is what brings them back to more midline for you. And this is what gets that, what I was talking about, relief for the perceived person that you're projecting. That's a relief for that perceived person, because it's no longer trying to hang on to the thinking that, let's say, thinking that it needs to hang on to the good feeling or resist the bad feeling, right? It's no longer feeling like it needs to kind of manage that stuff or have to, oh, I have one friend who does this. It is so cute. It feels so good. Everything is so good. And I'm like, oh shit, the opposite of that is coming. Because in a dream, it's made up of opposites. And it's like, no, I don't want you to feel bad. And that's why I'm saying that. I don't want you to feel bad. What I want for you is to see that neither one of these feelings mean anything. Because then you're going to, beyond feeling good. It's beyond feeling good. It's a certain certainty. It's a certainty about who you are. It's a knowing. And that's beyond feeling good or bad. The opposites just do the thing to show you, right? Pain seeker extraordinaire. Yes, I love that. I love it. Always been interested in stuff like that. Even when I worked out in the gym and, you know, building my muscles, really liked that pain that I would get from a nice pump, you know, nice muscular pump. Really enjoyed that. And then at one point I started having yoga. It was definitely a transition there because I got to the point where I was feeling kind of tired of working so hard. Okay. So I got into yoga I took one class. I felt like I'm going to go just check that out. It came to the gym, you know, before yoga wasn't in the gym. You had step aerobics, right? You'd have jazzercise. I was there in the 80s where we were in the headband and the freaking workout outfit. That's like, you know, we've got like tights on and we've got a G-string over the tights. You remember those outfits? I used to wear those. So I'd be in the gym doing jazzercise when I was really young. And then I started like weight training. I was like, okay, jazzercise isn't doing it for me. I'm still a little bit fat. I'm still a little bit chubby. I'm going to do some weight training now and do some weight training, do some bodybuilding, some powerlifting. And I was never a kind of person to get big from bodybuilding. There's some women that'll just like get really big when they bodybuild. So I was doing it for a while because I just felt like, wow, that really makes me look good. That really makes me look nice and lean. The muscles pop out nicely, and everything looks like nice and sculpted. I like the way my waist gets when I do that kind of stuff. So I was doing that for a while, but then I started to feel like tired because I would go into the gym and I'd be like, it would be like I'd have a look on my face like I'm gonna kick my fucking ass. I'm about ready to kick my fucking ass. Right. I had to get there. I had to like force myself to get there. And, you know, I was talking about forcing yourself earlier. I'm out of that vibe now. It's not a thing for me. I don't exercise like that or anything. And it's funny because the person who told me that about how she forces herself to garden and then she feels better afterwards, she works out the same way. She forces herself to work out and then she feels better afterwards. Right. I know the vibe. I've fucking done it. I've been there. Forcing you. I know it feels like, I feel so much better now because I feel so productive. I did what I needed to do. And, you know, I'm not putting that down at all because, you know, developing that kind of skill to be able to force yourself like that. Also, you know, it shows you, wow, you can use your mind in that much of a focused, determined way. And you can turn that into relaxing. With this willingness to relax, just turn that into this. That's really what happened for me. So I took a yoga class, and the next day I go, whoa. And my gauge on whether I had a good enough workout or not was soreness. That would be my gauge, whether I felt like I really I was productive. Am I sore? That's how I know if I'm productive or not, not my thing anymore. But I was sore the next day after yoga. And I go, oh, hey, and boy, that was chill. That was like nice. That was relaxing compared to what I do. Most people go to yoga and they go, fuck, that's hard. Go from bodybuilding to yoga. It's easy. It's nice. It's relaxing. I wasn't even flexible yet. I was kind of flexible because I was the kind of workout person that did research about it, about working out. The only reason I was flexible is because, I learned from bodybuilding that you want to keep everything lubricated. It feels better when it's lubricated, and also it's going to look better. It's going to be elongated. You're not going to get those short bodybuilder muscles. You're going to get more long muscles. Okay. So yeah, I did I do a workout in the gym. I'd pump some chest or something like that. And then the next thing you know, I'm stretching my chest, not like a yoga stretch, but holding onto a wall and getting a good stretch in the pecs and stuff. Next thing you know, I'm having something like that. So I was pretty flexible, not totally stiff, but I'll tell you what, when it came to hamstrings, everyone's bending over and I'm sitting up, still my hamstrings, they were always pretty tight. And still I'm like, wow, I'm like, holy shit, I'm the stiffest one in here when it comes to that particular move. And so there's different things that showed me I could work some edges, and also I could do that a couple times a week. So I skipped gym stuff for a couple times a week and just did a little bit of yoga. And then next thing I know, after I had a baby, it was all yoga all the time. I started doing yoga while I was pregnant. I was like, oh, I can just relax. I want to have a nice, relaxing pregnancy. That's what I felt. I was already going through my spiritual practice type time, 35, not saying it's an age thing, but 35 for a lot of people is that time of a cycle where you go into spirituality. If you have been worldly up until that point, and that was how the cycle was for me. It just all came in like that. So I had my gym membership up until I had my baby, Braun, who's 15. Had it all the way up until that point because I didn't know. I thought I might go back to the gym, and I had been going to the gym too, but also getting the relaxation. Well, after I had the baby, I'm not going to the gym at all. The next thing I know, I'm and then I end up canceling my membership. I wait a while because I don't know if I'm going to want to go back into the gym. But I started on this Kundalini yoga path, totally stumbled on it. I didn't know what Kundalini was or anything. Totally stumbled on it. I just, here's that thing that you might call, quote, vanity again. I was looking for something to firm up my abs. Some yoga. I was like, oh, can I firm up my abs with yoga? Maybe. Let's do an experiment. Right. So then I find this one called navel power. I don't realize it has a spiritual, that navel power has a spiritual kind of thing. Basically, you're doing these certain exercises to stimulate activity at the navel. which is come to find out, I had no idea at the time. It's an energy center, which the energy centers are also illusion. Okay. Energy centers are also illusion, but we did set it up this way for when we focus on a particular energy center, we get a certain opening. We get a certain opening in the energetic sense. It's allowing wisdom to come in, so allowing a certain kind of knowledge to come in. Now, that doesn't mean you're just guaranteed to do that if you go through the motions, but I really took to it really well. I felt like, whoa, after the first one, I was like, whoa, that was kind of weird. Kundalini yoga isn't even like other yogas. It's like the weird yoga, according to yogis. Once I started, I had no idea too. It was known in the field as kind of being this weird kind of yoga, right? Because it's not really focused on the physical, as in getting the physical to a certain thing. It's more like focus on the spiritual aspects. And then the physical part of it is like kind of like a manifestation that, you know, may or may not take place. I'll tell you what, looking at the guy who I was training with, looking at him now, it didn't look like it did that well to him. He looks pretty fucked up. Okay. From my perspective, like he just looks like he is whatever he's doing, it's not working out. One of them's Kundalini yoga, apparently. But anyways, for me, it seemed to work great for me getting in shape for some reason. And, you know, I'll tell you, I know I'm good at magic. Okay. Basically, we're all good at magic, but we're mostly making shit we don't want. Right. We're mostly making shit we think we don't want. I know I want everything I make, even if I think I don't want it. Right. So when it comes to, oh, what if I could use this Kundalini yoga that's also about meditation? I can have a meditation every day. What if I could use this and also be in great shape? So that's what seemed to happen for many years, 11 years. Okay. And I'd meet other yogis and they'd go, yeah, for one thing, also yogis are funny because they don't want to call themselves a yogi if they feel like they're unworthy of being called a yogi. For me, I'm just a yogi as soon as I start practicing yoga. That's like, that's just what I call it. And you are too, by the way. But anyways, but, you know, I get feedback like, oh, and one of my friends was like, oh, that's just weird. Like, what do you like about just flapping your arms like that for 8 minutes? It was like this, like it's like, this is how we get energy moving. We flap our arms like this. I haven't done this in forever, by the way. It feels good to just demonstrate it right now. We flap our arms like that for like 10 minutes and sitting, you know, sitting in a cross-legged position. So, you know, pain tends to set in. Definitely. I love that shit. So, you know, it tripped me out too. Like when I came here to Pune and I go into a Kundalini yoga thing, and my Kundalini yoga is like really, really strong, which I don't know because I'm always practicing alone, I'm not practicing with people, but it's like really, really strong because I like the pain. That's why it's really strong. I'm like programmed like that. And, you know, it's like going through all the working out, and you guys would see too, this kind of pain that I'm talking about. If you go into it, if you seek this certain kind of pain that you can get, it's like a high. You've probably heard of runner's high. Probably heard of that before. You know, there's a point where you're running and there's some pain coming up, but you're like, yeah, I just feel like breathing through this. And it's not brutal. Like you can breathe with it. I'm not freaking out, I'm not hurting myself. Like you can totally breathe with it. In fact, Kundalini yoga is all about breathing. And so people would be like, come up to me and go, whoa, you're fucking practice. Like, yeah, I find myself doing it every day and like doing it like heartfully, because I like to get to that point. I like to get to that kind of point where there's a sense of it's like this, you guys, it's like pain coming up and being purified. Even in bodybuilding, there's a certain like spiritual kind of draw to it, right? But look at if you have the idea that the body's not real and so you shouldn't do it. What I see is a lot of people that go through this, go through that when they're following Advaita or A Course in Miracles with the body's not real concept. You know, there will be like this sense of a body that's broken. There's this sense of a body that hasn't been well taken care of. And, you know, on another side of that is, you know, you could get the perception that you're taking care of the body, but it's all conceptual, like you're doing it, right? There's yogis who have practiced yoga for decades and then completely break down. And you see, you know, what's going on is it's time for that particular, conceptual. Everything that we seem to do is conceptual. It's always needs to be held with an open hand, changeful. Nothing's the be all end all. The be all end all of something. So people that get into yoga, there's concepts in yoga about doing it all, all the time and doing it a certain way. There's concepts about this. So they'll follow it even though their guidance is changing. They don't even hear the guidance because the concept is so loud. There's nothing else. There's nothing beyond yoga. If yoga is it. I just kind of I could tell Kundalini yoga was waning away. I could kind of feel it, kind of like with smoking spliffs too, the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. It's really no different. So I could kind of sense it waning away, toward the end of that 11 years, it started to be not as interesting to me. In fact, I got called to stop exercising altogether, just to purify. I didn't know how long it was going to last, just to purify the belief that I needed to exercise to feel okay. Just to purify that belief. So Kundalini yoga started getting less and less until I was to the point where I went a little while. I don't know how long. It might have been a year or two where there was just no physical exercises. All I was smoking a lot. For me, it would be a lot. For someone else, it might be a lot too, like 7 spliffs a day at one point, where I'm just sitting there in my garden, just smoking, just having spiritual practice and smoking and not doing any exercise. Right. Kind of going through a phase where it's just listening. And that was the guidance to stop with that, to have that experience. So I had that experience, definitely noticed, man, things going downhill fast in the physical sense. Things going downhill really fast. Now, I know that working out doesn't affect the physical form, even though I perceive that not working out affects the physical form. Even though I get that perception, I know that's not the truth. So it's not like I was wrong about that. No, the perception is meant to show you that you're fucking wrong about the truth. It's meant to show you that you are who you are not. All right. So just because it's popping up like that doesn't mean that I believe it. So in that, I don't have to start working out again. That's what's fun and playful about it. I know it's coming. Something's coming. That's just how it goes. So after that, I had a couple years where it was just beautiful. I guess you would call it Ashtanga yoga. Power yoga is another word for it, I think. Where I was getting into this really physical form of yoga. Kundalini out. No more Kundalini now. It's just all about alignment now. That's what it seemed to be. Alignment, powerful stuff. And then it slowed down to where it's just yin. I remember if you've been with me, I went to just yin. And still, I'm in great shape. It's making me in great shape, apparently. Whatever, if I'm just willing to do whatever I'm called to do, it'll work. It's just there needs to be something, apparently at this point in time. That could change. I'm open to that too. I like there being something. Let's put it that way. It feels like purifying to my mind. I like there to be something, some kind of physical something. But if there's not physical something, like, falling off a cliff, for instance, of course, it's still given to me. I'm still taken care of. There's block therapy, like right in front of my face. I don't go on the computer and go, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't do any yoga now. I can't even do yin yoga. Fucking thing is blown up. What am I going to do? No, I'm laying there and I'm having meditation and I'm enjoying not moving for a little bit. And then it's just like, hey, my friend Gail told me about block therapy. I'm going to check that out. I just go back to my text, look it up. Hey, okay, type it in. First 3 minutes or so, 1 minute, I knew that was for me. We're getting right to the pain. We're getting right to the pain. We're not even like warming up. The warm up is the pain. I'm into that. I like that. Same thing with emotional energies. Right to it. Right to it, because that's how it just gets purified in the moment. One young girl came up to me when I was at dance on Friday night. I was at Hawaiian Sanctuary for dance on Friday night, and one young girl came up to me and she told me, she said, you know what, I just had this really painful experience. Someone was dancing way too close to me and I had a reaction. And I just kept on dancing, and I noticed the painful experience, and I noticed the painful feeling, and I was there with the painful feeling. And then, you know what? I walked outside and he came up to me and he said, I'm sorry, did I make you feel uncomfortable or something like that? And she said, no, it's not. It's not about you or anything. It's nothing about you. She just said, I just like a little bit of communication before someone dances that close with me, you know. But she said, man, the interaction was so gentle for her because she was willing to go through the pain. Because, you know, normally that would make her clam up, right? And get really scared and clammy. And but that's the thing. If you're willing to just go through the pain, it's an emotional pain arising in the moment where you're like, oh, this person's fucking on me. Fuck. I love that. When I get that on the dance floor, someone's being pervy with me or something, because I know it's me. So I go straight into the pain of it. That's a painful feeling. I want that. If it's arising for me, I want it in the moment, right? So yeah, straight into the pain on the belly position. Now I'm all about this block therapy thing. As you guys know, you probably, some of you, I probably sound like a broken record telling you, check this shit out, right? I mean, because I'm seeing like people who haven't had a physical kind of background like I have taken to this stuff really nicely. Anne is one of them. Anne, you're not super physical, but Anne's no problem. You haven't done a bunch of working out, right? I think you told me that before. Yeah. Anne hasn't done a bunch of working out. She's like a non-workout chick, right? But man, she likes blocking. Yeah. She looks so happy when I just bring it up. So, all right, Gail Kelly, let's see. Don't miss an opportunity to spread your light, whether they can understand now or not. It plants a seed that will grow one day. Thank you so much for that, Gail. That is so sweet. I see that. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're right. And you know, when I got the sense, like after I had that conversation with the first person who asked me, well, he already didn't call me up. Okay. And he already did his thing where I was like, kind of like, are you sure? Because I can't guarantee what's going to come out of this thing. I go, you know, I made an assessment. I made an assessment of the group and didn't. And when I shared that with him, I noticed as it was coming out, it wasn't really that sincere. I noticed it. I was like, you're right. I can definitely be open to spread the light in any kind of situation and just say yes to it. Yeah. And you know, of course, the way it went down is perfect. That's the other thing. The way it did go down is always perfect. I can sense when there's some kind of a holding back, and that's okay with me because it always gets worked out. I mean, look, there's a teaching and learning right now with me and Gail. And also just look, it just shows itself. It reveals itself. So it's perfect. The practice of practicing, not practicing, or less is more. Very nice. I like that too. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like you're enjoying it. So some of my friends, well, when I was at A Course in Miracles group that I do on Thursday, well, I attend, it's not my group. I attended on Thursday. Of course, they're all my people. But one of my friends was talking about how he's got this certain pain and And then I said, well, just do block therapy. I've done it with him before, and I know he loved it. He was like, oh, this is awesome. I like this a lot. But he didn't find himself doing it. I go, just do some block therapy. And he goes, oh no, that won't really help this or something. And I just go, okay. And then a second later, he's like, do you think it'll help it? I was like, I do think it'll help it. And so then he even asks Anne, Anne, he even asks you, right? If you think it's be helpful. And Anne's like, yeah, I think so too. So I see him the next couple days later, and he goes, I got the blocks. I'm going to do it. I just got to do it every day. And I'm like, well, do it if you enjoy it. That's the thing. It's like finding the joy in something. It's like, you don't need, like, I love my routines. I'll tell you that. I really enjoy my routines, but it's like, because it's a joy, not because I'm going to force myself to do something so I can get a benefit out of it. It's going to be no benefit in that way. No benefit. Forcing yourself to do blocking is not the same as what I'm talking about. You can't be relaxed like that. You're outcome focused, right? That's the way most people do it. It's the way most people work out. Now, for me, even when I was weight training, I was not so outcome focused. I was, but in the moment when I would be doing the training, I was into the sensations. I got into that high from it. That's why I liked it so much. That's why I could do it every day. You can't maintain a weightlifting or any kind of workout practice if you don't like it. You got to like it. And I'm always open too. I noticed that in working out. I got, like, when I was working out with weight training, I noticed that I would hit a plateau, right? And then something would need to change. Even in the weightlifting routine, something would need to change. I'd hit a plateau. I'd get kind of bored. I'd be feeling kind of bored, and I'd feel like my body isn't improving anymore, right? I'd hit a plateau. Well, I noticed from time after time after time of that happening, and kind of like getting scared, because I started doing this when I was like 14, and kind of like getting scared, like, oh my God, what am I going to do now that the shit I thought worked didn't work? And it just came to me in a flash of insight when I was only in my 20s. Don't worry about it, because the next thing is always just given to you. It's just going to be given to you. And this is when I was like pretty conventional, like the way of thinking, conventional way of thinking, right? But still, this flash of insight came, and it was just like so relaxing. I was like, oh, I could just enjoy whatever workout I'm doing, whatever one I'm enjoying. I could just enjoy that one. And then the next one will come to me. Same thing with spiritual stuff. It's the same way. See? It always changes. That's why, like, as much as I tell you guys about block therapy, to me, in my mind, it's not the be all end all. I know something else is coming because it's an illusion. I know something even more amazing is coming. Although I can't conceive of it right now because it seems like the best thing to me ever. I'm like, shit. It's almost like, how did I not think about that before? How did I not think about that? Amazing. Obviously, I brought it into manifestation, right? Everyone's just as involved, you can say, with these inventions that pop up. They're inventions of the mind. Of course, it seems like another person invented that in my perception, but that came from me. I feel the same way about A Course in Miracles. Like, it seemed to be someone else was a scribe for that. But man, that came from my mind, and it's given to me. I see that so clearly. It's like, first I was on that kind of vibe. I was on that kind of thread. My mind was going in that direction. And then this book manifests that was apparently written before I was apparently born in this apparent world. But I know time is an illusion. I've told people before, I wrote that book. Are you kidding me? I just forgot that I wrote it. I keep going over it over and over and over again. I remind myself what it says. With block therapy, it's the most efficient way I've ever seen of going into the pain that's being projected on the body sense. Most efficient way I've ever seen. Just going there and relaxing. Another one is kind of similar, but I think block therapy seems to me to be much deeper, is laying on that needle mat. That's pretty good too. That's pretty good too. But it doesn't get into the depth like the block therapy does, where it's kind of like a sense of like peeling layers of sticky, gluey stuff off of your bones. That's pretty interesting to me, because I know that sticky, gluey stuff. I know what that is. That's thoughts wrapped around. It's symbolic. It's thoughts being like kind of like spiraling. It's funny because the way it adheres, it goes into this kind of like it goes in this kind of like this chaotic thing that's like all intertwined. And like I was noticing, and oh man, this has cleared up so much. What a trip, you guys. I was noticing, I said, okay, I'm going to make a note of this vein. There's this vein on my arm, and it popped I don't see it now. It popped up right here, and then it ran across right here, and I made a note of it to be aware of it, and it popped up right here on this side, like popped out right here. It's gone, right? It's fucking gone. But that popping out was basically just this mess of material, fascia, what they call fascia, this mess of material that's just all enmeshed like this, right? So I'm over here and I'm blocking. Today I was just blocking this area again. I've been on it many times. I put a wooden block under it like this, and then I lay on it and move that stuff right off the bone, like move it right off of it, right? And over time, it's been a little over a year now, that vein is gone. Like, I don't even see it. First, I stopped seeing it right here, and it would just pop up here, and I'd show people, see this vein right here? It used to go all the way across and pop up over here. Gone. Pretty interesting, huh? It's a trip. And so the thing that I see is all that wrapping around and sticky stuff. It's a projection of sticky thought patterns, and I can see it being worked out at the time. I'm finding the pain in, like, say, this arm right here. The what for you guys that are listening, I'm pointing at the top of my lower arm, where normally we get a lot of congestion. Okay. Now I can see it popping out just a little bit. Yeah, it's and you know, it's like not like my goal is to get rid of the vein, right? The goal is to go into the pain, feel like what it feels like to kind of like shear that stuff off of the bone, to get it some oxygen and stuff like that, because in that sense, that's a sense of pain being projected onto the body. So with that pain being projected onto the body like that, it's giving an opportunity to see through something. You know, if I'll stay with it, if I'll keep breathing, if I'll not start hyperventilating, which I see some people do when I teach them blocking, you know, they'll be like, no, that's not it. We're not hyperventilating in this. We're so relaxed that we can't even hear ourselves breathing. It's a way of being so relaxed, you don't even hear yourself breathing. Right? So, but that's not the be all end all. That's just one way to address it. That's one way to address the pain that's being projected in the body sense. So now I'm witnessing people who are into A Course in Miracles and also Advaita, who have been neglecting the body for decades, get interested in block therapy and kind of like bringing it all into, you know, through that means, through that practice, kind of bringing it all in. Because this is amazing too. If you have been practicing listening to, following, you might say, Advaita or A Course in Miracles, or any other teaching, you know, Papaji, what's the other one? Ramana Maharshi. I don't know if I say this guy's name right. Nisargadatta Maharaj, another guy. Muji. Okay. Once you have been focused on those concepts, and then you bring in kind of like the physical aspect of it, the body sense, the physical manifestation of your pain into the equation, I think the awakening just quickens so much more. I think it just starts going way faster for you. And I think that's just an awesome component to bring in to the equation. Something like that, something where at least you're paying attention to the sensations that are arising in the body sense. Remember, I know I'm on the same kind of vein as you guys. The body is not real. I know it's not a reality. And the sensations that are coming as a body sense, it's making it so that you can seem like you're projected as a body sense. It's all sensation. To break down those sensations, really see through the sensations, you got to be aware of them. Just willingness to be aware of them. And you're getting guidance through them. What supplements to take, what exercises to do, all of that. So so back to my geriatric satsang, the satsang guy. I'm not going to call him a guru or something like that. I didn't hear anyone call him that. And he didn't seem like a guru to me because he kept on apologizing. He said, "I'm sorry," many times, and you would have freaked out. I'm just kidding. I know how you hear someone saying "I'm sorry" and you get a little reaction. You go, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "It's okay, Anne." It's all right. Let them say they're sorry. So he had a lot to say about how for years he just kind of like, he didn't use the word, I don't think, neglected, but basically what he was saying is I neglected the body for many years. And now that I've had all this going through falling off, he fell down, falling on skates, super injury, like shit just being fucked up, like having to get bones broken and different, like already breaking them, but then like sound like some medical malpractice went down, then he had bones re-break, and just like major kind of thing like that. He said once that occurred, then he started doing all of this, watching YouTube videos about health. He's just learning about things like intermittent fasting and, you know, all this different stuff. So it's popping up now and to the, you know, and that's what the physical form and the breaking down of it is for. That's really what it's for. It's to bring you more teachings. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with him on that part where he said that that there must be a reason why his physical form is breaking down with it and why he's suffering over it. And it's like, yeah, it's to bring things more into awareness. Now we're bringing the physical form into, you know, not so much the form itself, but the sense of a physical form. All it is a sense. But when this neglecting is trying to suppress the sense of this physical form, trying to suppress it as a sense. That's what all modern medicine is all about. That's why one of the geriatric satsang participants said, "I just want to get a drug for it. I just want to get a drug for it so I can keep on focusing on the mind, on the spirituality." Well, that is the spirituality. The body sense is the spirituality, not the body. The body isn't real. The body sense is the spirituality. So the sense that it's breaking down, the sense that it's forgetting things, all the things, That is it. See, it's not to be covered up with drugs. You can if you want to, and that'll be the spiritual teaching, and that's fine. If you are doing it, you are doing it because you want to do it. If you want a drug to cover it up, to mask it, then there's that, right? I just want to mask this symptom where I keep on fooling myself and thinking that I'm going to awaken without going through this physical sense that I'm really, really scared of. Pain is fear. But my friend, the friend who said that, she's on it. She's so on it. She's actually doing block therapy all the time. She blocks around the house. So just bringing things up to awareness. There's all these aspects at play. You know, my friends are just bringing things up to the awareness. One of them comes up, talked about a heart attack. The whole thing, it's just so funny. I was called a geriatric satsang. Every single person that came up had to do. Another one comes up and talks about a stroke. Okay. And then the interesting thing is, one of the thoughts that crossed my mind, all these people that are coming up talking about these things, memory loss, stroke, heart attack, vaccine people, right? So then I got that to deal with. I got the idea that vaccines can have an effect on bodies, right? and at the same time, you want a drug so you can just get by, huh? How's that working out for you? It's good stuff. So after it, at the end of it, someone came up to me. She recognized when I used to be a COVID activist, right? She recognized me and she goes, "Hey, are you that one that did this and this and this?" And I was like, "Yes, it's COVID Dialogues. Yeah, I did that." She must have come to COVID Dialogues. And she started talking about the vaccine. She's like, "It's really coming clear that the people that took the vaccine are going through it." And it's like, yeah, we just kind of like had a demonstration of that right now at that satsang. Like they just kept on coming up. It's a parade of people that got a vaccine and are now dealing with these symptoms, right? So I go, you know what that's for? It's just so that we can see that the vaccine has no effect. It has no effect on a body. And that's the willingness to see. It's not what you're viewing. If you're willing to see, you're willing to claim that right there, because there's this, oh, I want to be right part too. I told you so. Told you not to get a fucking vaccine. Look where you are now, fucker. Right? That's also an illusion. It's like, would you, in this moment, like I shared with my friend, the one who came up to me and said, "Were you that person that was doing COVID fucking dialogue?" She goes, "I'll tell you what, they'd have to hold me down to give me one of those. I wouldn't get one of those." Right. And I'm like, oh yeah, me too. And if they did hold me down and give me one, then I would cancel all of the effects about it too. All of the opinion, because I know that thought's going to come up. So it's the same thing for all of my friends. I use my power of creativity to deny any truth to the idea that these vaccines have any kind of effect. Okay. Because that's how they're set up in the field. And even the satsang dude, when my friend asked about, or she didn't ask about it. She actually just said, "I want a pill for this. I want a drug for this," something like that. And then the satsang guy goes, "Well, all pharmaceutical drugs cause inflammation." He's been learning this stuff recently. All pharmaceutical, and this is based on science, he said. All pharmaceutical drugs, I think he said all, he may have said most, I don't know, cause inflammation, which is what is causing all these other things, right? So, he told her that, right? Which immediately in my mind goes to, yeah, that's the idea, the concept, that you want to cover something up. It's just like the wages of sin is death, right? Also, he who tries to save his body is going to destroy it, right? It's basically how the medical system is set up. It's for that. I just want to get some relief from this. Cialis and Viagra are really big because it's like, I just want my erection to work. Why? What's it for? What's it actually for? You know, seeing that these things are given to you as a gift, like the erection stops working. And it's not permanent. It's not a permanent thing. You make it that way if you say it's because of aging. If you'll buy into that it's because of aging. Look at these things aren't supporting well-being. That's not how they're designed. They're not designed to support health and wellness. They're designed as a Band-Aid. That's how they're made. Look up side effects of things. Look, the healing is in you. It's within you. One of my friends came up and he knows that nothing has any effect on anything else. So I thought it was really wonderful. And he came up and said, after he got a pacemaker, it's called something else, I guess, a defibrillator. It's like a pacemaker and a defibrillator in his heart. After that, now his heart feels better. And even when he says that, even when those words come out of his mouth, I could sense he does not believe that it's because of the procedure. He knows it's his mind, ability to make a magic trick, just like I can with the supplement. Ability to make a magic trick. It's the mind's ability. It's not that thing that does it, right? Same with all the drugs. Also, what's put into play with the drug and with the surgery too. You know, you're getting cut to get this benefit. Getting cut into to get this benefit. You're sacrificing a certain amount of health to get this benefit with a pharmaceutical drug, or fluoride on the teeth. You're sacrificing, you know, in the perception, the way it's made up, the way we made it up. You know, these things, the way we made things are carrying power because we gave it to them. We could also withdraw it. But the way we set it up is you have to give something up. Chemotherapy, for instance. In that show that I'm watching, you just go straight to chemotherapy. Find out he has cancer, he goes straight to chemotherapy. No even question about it. Just go straight over there. A lot of people are doing that. Oh shit. Like if someone tells me, first of all, I'm not going to a doctor to get diagnosis, because that's silly as fuck. If you're looking for something wrong, you're probably going to find it. And you don't need to do that. You don't need to look for anything. It'll just be presented to you. Look for something right. Let's put it that way. Look for something right. And by looking, you're just open to it. Just open to seeing something going right. You get a checkup and it says you have cancer, then you're supposed to go automatically to, okay, start chemo, start radiation, start cutting things out, right? There are other options. There always are. That's how it is. There's always other options. There's always another thing that can open up to you. Like I shared with my friend who got the thing put inside of his heart. You know, he was scared of it going up to it. And I go, well, there's nothing to be afraid of because there's no body. The body isn't a reality. And it's not like there's anything that you should or shouldn't do. It's just to acknowledge you don't have to get cut. Okay. If you're choosing in the perception to get cut, it's due to your belief that you have to get cut. That's the best you can do. And it's due to belief. No, you go in there and get cut, and you're holding it in that kind of viewpoint. He got it in that moment. He was like, yeah, that's yeah, I feel that. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Like, I just don't need to have a say in it either way, whether I get that surgery or not. I don't need to have a say in it either way. The thing is, I don't have to get cut to stay alive. That's the thing to know. And if I perceive myself doing it, that's because in that moment, that's the best I can do. So go into it gladly. Go into it gladly. There's a different way of going into it, though. A way of suffering. And you know what was interesting about my friend is, this is Billy. He loves it when I talk about him. That's why I say his name. And he listens all the time. There was at least one, he shared with me, person who was working with him on his case who wanted to know more and wanted to know more about A Course in Miracles because of the way he is with everything. Right. And, you know, I've talked about before how we're drawn down these paths where we interact with certain people because it's maximally beneficial for healing. It's maximally beneficial for awakening. So that's another thing to look at. Like, if you find yourself going toward any surgery or something like that, or you're seeing a doctor or you're seeing a dentist or anything like that, you're always going into it because it's maximally beneficial for that interaction to occur. See? And, you know, the illusion will reveal to you that how beneficial it is. It'll even reveal in the illusion how beneficial it is that you're having that interaction at that time. And he shared that with me. I was like, no wonder you got the defibrillator. See how perfect it is. So it's not like I'm knocking on the actual procedure or something like that. It's not like that. It's for you to know for yourself that no one has to get cut to get better. That's just a play. And no one is really being cut either. So it's not like a sad thing. It's like, oh God, I wish he didn't do that or something. No, it's not like that. It's glorious. And then when you see it that way, you see that nothing can go wrong. And, you know, in fact, everything in the perception is reflecting the perfection of creation in that way. It's not in the way that people talk about it, though. It's not like the perceived world with all of its dying and sickness and hatred and all that stuff is perfect, as a perfect creation. It's not a creation at all. It's make-believe. It's perfectly orchestrated for your awakening to creation. And as you awaken to it, you see more and more how the perfection of creation is coming through it, the way it's teaching, the way it's gentle, everything's gentle. You perceive anything as harsh or anything like that, that's you making it up. So the more you see that you're making it up, the more gentle it gets. And I know for a fact, I don't know if it's in this lifetime. I'm hopeful, let's say that it's in this lifetime, but not hopeful in a way that I'm going to be bummed out if it's not in this lifetime, because the end is certain. Doesn't matter how long it takes. All of us are going to see that there is no such thing as aging. And it's going to occur through willingness, really, from my perspective, just my willingness. So from your perspective, just your willingness. It only takes you. It only takes one. Just your willingness to see that the aging concept is an illusion. We made it up and we're going to undo it. And, you know, everything in the perception is giving us the means to undo that. Look at our language. Just watch the language. Watch anyone's language that you perceive. Watch this week. Anyone saying those ageism remarks. Like, wait till you get my age. That's what happens when you get old, right? Menopause, blaming things on menopause. I get that temptation all the time. Sometimes it seems like my skin just got really hot. Just my skin. Hot and tight. It's like, what the fuck is that concept? I'm not buying into it. It's a concept. I'm not buying into that. So, yay, everyone. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you staying with me for like 2.5 hours, and you're awesome. Thank you so much. It's been really fun sharing with you. I love this topic, these topics, always do. But this one, the way it really presented itself to me this weekend, really. I watched that show probably Saturday night and then Sunday. It was Saturday night and Sunday. Boom. Oh, okay, that's what we're on. This is fun. All right. I'll be back next week for Wisdom Dialogues online, Mondays, 3 to 5. If you're listening on the podcast, which, wow, my podcast listenership has really gone up. It's like, been like, I think 700 in the, maybe not 700, a lot in the past month on the podcast station. So if you're listening there and you want to join this Zoom one, you can go to Hope Johnson Wisdom Dialogues on Facebook. There's a page there. There's a group there. Join that group. And when you get on that group, go to the last video that you see, and there's going to be a link right there to join. Another way to join, go to hopejohnson.org and go to the Wisdom Dialogues tab. At the Wisdom Dialogues tab, you'll find recordings that you could access right there. You can access just right there and the recordings. You'll also find a link to join me on Zoom if you'd like to do that. You could also watch from that Facebook page live. Yay, aloha, Jojo B. I also do in-person Wisdom Dialogue. So if you're joining here on Zoom or you see me on Facebook Live, there's more Hope Johnson. If you can use more Hope Johnson, I know a lot of people who like it. They listen all the time. And you know what they report back to me that is really wonderful? They report back to me that they have gotten so much more relaxed and confident and comfortable since listening to Wisdom Dialogues. So if it does that for you, great. Listen all you want. I'm recording at least 4 hours a week right now. So, and I have been recording for a super long time. So you probably find thousands of hours that you can listen to if you like to have a variety of different kinds of Hope Johnsons over the years. Still, the message is the same. The message is always the same. It's just, you know, Hope Johnson definitely changes. So the way it comes out changes all the time. All right. If you'd like to donate, I have a Venmo. No, I don't have a Venmo. Scratch that. I don't have Venmo or PayPal. I have Cash App, Hope Johnson 7. You can also donate through Zelle, 808-937-8440. That's also my cell phone. You can text me. You can call me too. I barely answer my phone though. But you can text me, and I don't mind responding on text. Some people leave me voice notes. I seem to be slower at getting back on those, because a lot of the times I'll glance at it, see that there's a voice note, not be in a position to listen to a voice note, and think about it way later, and then go over and grab it and listen to it, which is perfect. But you know, if that's the way you want to communicate, that's fine. Yeah. So another way to donate also is a really fun way for you is to buy Miracle Botanicals essential oils. Go to miraclebotanicals.com. If you're on right now, I'm having a sale. It ends tomorrow. It's 20% off. You'll see the details right online. You'll see it right there if you go to miraclebotanicals.com. If you want to get my newsletters, which if you like Hope Johnson, you probably like my newsletters. I don't know. I think they're pretty awesome. I'll be sending out one that goes out tomorrow morning. It's going to be probably short. I don't know. Sometimes I get super inspired and start writing all this stuff. It'll be the final notification for the sale. So there'll probably be a picture of a clock somewhere on that graphic that I do in the middle of the night. Anyways, you want to join that mailing list. If you go to miraclebotanicals.com, you'll probably get a pop-up on your screen once you start scrolling around. If you don't, go all the way down to the bottom. There will be an input field. Just stick your email address in there, okay? And you'll start getting my, I think I got like 5 of them on a flow that take you through some different things about essential oils that I wrote, how to use them in different ways and stuff like that. So yeah, if you like essential oils, my friend Billy said, I don't care about your sale. I want you to get the full price. If you want me to get the full price, just don't enter the coupon code. You don't have to do it. But if you do want to get a coupon code, there's a coupon code there and you can get 20% off. And that ends tomorrow. All right. Tomorrow at midnight Hawaii time. So if you're listening to this later, you're probably too late. Just go sign up for a newsletter and then you'll know for next time if you want to take advantage of the sale. Oh, Cynthia, I appreciate you. Thank you for hugging me with love and light. I have so much more to share with you, but I'm going to stop now and I'll save it up for Friday. And who knows what else? Who knows what else will come up? Maybe at some point I'll be sharing with you guys every day because I feel like that much to come is starting to come up where I can be sharing every day. We'll see how that goes, though. I'm sure if it's meant to be, the Holy Spirit will provide the means for it. So hooray, everyone. I love you so much. And until next time, mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho.